When you start thinking about the most underrated drivers in NASCAR this year, I'm sure a bunch of different guys come to your mind. I'm sure there's guys like Tyler Reddick, someone who has run really well and not had the results to really match up. Or Eric Jones, someone who is in petty GMS equipment but running at a competitive and playoff level. But in my opinion, there's a driver that everybody is overlooking right now. He's not a championship contender. He's not somebody who's going to go out and just dominate a race and win like the last two guys I talked about. But at the same time, he's someone who, when he does end up getting a win this year or in the future, and when he does get top fives and top tens, everyone is surprised to see. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be as much of a surprise anymore. That driver and his team is Michael McDowell with Front Row Motorsports. Now, of course, when you look at Michael McDowell and Front Row Motorsports, you think of a team that's probably running sub 20th. You think of a team who is going to be running well at the super speedways and might run well at maybe a road course or two and maybe a spare intermediate in the season. But this year, I think that McDowell has really upped his performance, and it's a trend that he's been doing his entire tenure at Front Row Motorsports. In my opinion, he's their franchise driver that they need to keep building upon. See, he came to Front Row in 2018, and in that season, he got one top 10, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, he led 33 laps, but most of those were at Daytona and a spare few at Vegas and Homestead. It wasn't like he was running up front by any means. He averaged basically a 25th place finish, and overall, he ran where the equipment had run pretty much for the past 5 to 6 years before that. Front Row had started as a start and park team, but at this point had been an established lower-end middle-tier team. In 2019, he went up a little bit, got 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s, but this was all at the super speedways. But 2020 is where stuff started to change. While he didn't get any top 5s, he did get 4 top 10s, and the locations of those top 10s are the really big areas we need to look at. Yes, he of course ran well at the super speedways, but he actually never scored a top 10 at any of them. The tracks he did: Pocono, Indianapolis, the Daytona Road Course, and the Bristol Night Race. Now, the thing I want to bring up with these is that these are all very much talent-based tracks. And a short track, for instance, like Bristol, is where car doesn't really matter as much as driver. Same with the Daytona Road Course, where at a lot of the race, he was running in the top 5. Indianapolis is a very finesse-based track, same with Pocono, where you have to get into a rhythm, and in a lot of ways, horsepower is a big factor. Even with the 550 package, there wasn't really the parity NASCAR wanted, yet McDowell still managed to get top 10s in these races. And then, of course, we have 2021, which many at first thought could have been his breakout season. He got a victory in the Daytona 500. It is his career-defining moment as we talk right now, and it probably will end up being that way when he retires one day. But a lot of people forget now that he started out that season pretty amazingly. See, after that Daytona 500, he got top 10s in Daytona and Homestead, which, because of scheduling differences and the way they changed stuff up, would be the first 3 races of the season. He ran well at Homestead all day and was one of the top 5 cars of the day too. And he also got a top 10 and top 5 at Talladega and a top 10 at Coda. But here's the thing. Those 5 races he got top 10s in were the only 5 he got all season, and they were all in the first 14 races of the season. Yes, he led more laps this past season in 2021, as he led more races too. He led the last lap of the 500, led a few laps at Vegas, Coda, Pocono, and Indianapolis's road course. But overall, the team's performance really went downhill, and he was pretty much an afterthought when the playoffs started and was quickly eliminated, but he did finish 16th in points. But then there's this season. If you look at just raw numbers alone, this season is a huge step up. 17 starts has him with 1 top 5 and 6 top 10s, and he's gotten top 10s past the race 14 mark, which means that the team is performing better longer into this season. He's led more laps than he did in any other season in his career at Front Row, with 38 this year, has an average finish of 17th, and has finished all but one race so far this year and is 21st in the standings. And that 21st, in my opinion, is very misleading. When you look at the different tracks he's ran well at, he got a top 5 at Sonoma and top 10s at Daytona, Bristol Dirt, Talladega, Darlington, and Charlotte. But the big one for me is how long he led at Gateway. He led 34 laps at the track, and while he didn't get a top 10 in that race, he was one of the top 10 best drivers out there. And I think some people have noticed him, but not enough in this time, and especially in the last 9 races. You see, I read off the numbers that he's had so far this year, and they were really good. But what I neglected to say is that he started off the year worse than pretty much any year since 2018 or 19 with the team. How so? Well, when you look at how he started the season, he had one top 10. That race, of course, being the Daytona 500. But after that, he finished on average 23rd position and only scored 112 points, which would be 14 points per race. Not very good in any metric whatsoever, and it seemed like the team had really stepped back. But in the last 9 races, while he hasn't got a win, he's got that top 5 at Sonoma, 5 top 10s, again, in 9 races, a 12th place average finish, and he scored on average 26 points per race, or 234 total. Now, that might not seem so impressive until you look at his teammate, Todd Gilliland, who in that same span of races in the last 9 has scored 140 points, which is 10 points per race less than McDowell. But that's just comparing to a rookie. What about actual veterans, better teams, all that? Well, in the last 9 races, when you look at the guys who have been the top 10 point scorers, you're going to have a lot of the usual suspects. Kyle Busch and Larson are at the top with 318, Ross Chastain with 310, Christopher Bell with 307, Elliott with 288, Martin Truex Jr. at 279, Joey Logano at 273, Ryan Blaney in 8th at 270, and then in 9th is Michael McDowell with 234 points. Yes, there's a big discrepancy between McDowell and the guys that we are looking at as championship threats this season. But let's see who he's ahead of. He's ahead of all of the SHR cars, 2 Hendrick Motorsports car, a JGR driver, 1 Trackhouse driver, and all of both RCR and 2311 Racing. These drivers include Kevin Harvick, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, and William Byron. And I don't care how much that people think Front Row has improved, to be that much better than some of these teams. I mean, looking, for instance, at the RCR teams, he's about 32 to 34 points better than either Austin Dillon or Tyler Reddick. He's scored 42 more points in the last 9 races than William Byron. This guy is performing at such a high level for such a really mid-tier team, and no one is giving him the proper recognition he deserves. Looking at the 26 points per race he's scored in the last 9 races, if you would have extrapolated that to the full 17 race schedule, that puts him 1 point behind the cut line at the moment. That is insane. What I'm saying right now is any way you cut it at the moment, Michael McDowell is outperforming his teammates, his equipment, drivers he should be around, and drivers who honestly should be ahead of him. So now I want to pass this on to you. What do you think? Do you think Michael McDowell is as underrated as I say he is? Or do you think it's just picking and choosing, and in all reality, he'll go and revert back to the mean? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video. Share this video and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.